True Story Tuesday. Bernie. The true story of Bernhardt Tiede and Marjorie Nugent. This movie starred Jack Black, Shirley MacLaine, and Matthew McConaughey. A must watch, great watch, true story. Let's get started, people. Meet Bernhardt Tiede. Bernhardt is born August the 2nd in 1958 from Abilene, Texas. He became a mortician around the 1980s and he moved to Carthage, Texas, where he started working for Hawthorne Funeral Service. Now, Bernard, which they called Bernie, was well known in the community and well liked by the community people. It was nothing that you could do or say about Bernie. He was known for his generosity, his charm, his wit, the work he did in the community, around the local churches, and just overall a very good, decent person. So around 1990, Bernard met Mrs. Marjorie Nugent here. Now, Miss Nugent from the movie, they were said to say, was very much so not a nice person. Now, even though when you watch the movie Bernie and it comes on, I mean, the people of the town are basically clowning her, talking about how she was just evil, she was a witch, calling her all kind of names, but a child of God. Basically, it seems like she wasn't just a fair person, that you could not deal with her, and she was an elderly person that did live alone. Now, Miss Nugent was an 81-year-old wealthy widow, and Bernie here, he met her at her husband's funeral. Now, for some reason, no one could get along with Miss Marjorie but Bernie. Despite the 40-year difference that they had with each other, Bernie was up and hot and ready, little Caesar up in Miss Marjorie's tail. I mean, they was doing the most. They was out traveling, shellacking, shenanigans, eating out, buying nice things. And Marjorie was doing all this for Bernie. And of course, everyone loved Bernie, okay? Everyone. But they couldn't understand why Bernie loved Miss Marjorie. Now, as Bernie and Miss Marjorie relationship grew, you didn't see one without the other. And they became so close to where Miss Marjorie put Bernie as her power of attorney over her will and even put him in the will, granting him the full access over her will. Now, we're going to pause for a minute on this right here because where was the family? Okay, we're going to ride on with that. Now, it was said that when Mrs. Nugent did this, she blocked out her own kids from the will, okay? Leaving a estate of over $10 million full access to Bernie over here. Now, y'all know he was living his best life. Now, she did this in 1991 after only 1 year of meeting Bernie. And by 1993, Mrs. Marjorie right here, Bernie had left his job full time as a mortician and was working full time for Miss Marjorie. Banking on her, y'all, banking on her. But hey, Bernie must was doing something to keep her occupied because Marjorie was not an easy lady. Now, like I said, it was said that she did not get along with people in the community, and it also seems like she did not get along well with her family. You wasn't hearing much about them seeking for her and seeking for her attention until after a while. Now, it was said in the movie that Bernie was starting to get physically, or not physically, let me take that back, verbally abused and mentally abused by Miss Marjorie. It was said that Bernie had to be on call all the time for Miss Marjorie. He had to do whatever she said. And if he did not do what Miss Marjorie said, that she would retaliate against him, telling him how she would take him out the will, call him all type of names, and take certain things from him that she had given him as gifts. Now, somewhere along the way, after enduring 3 years of abuse from a roughly 93, of after moving in and becoming Mrs. Nugent full-time assistant, up until like 96, things start to scrabble and get a little bitter and distant between Bernie and Marjorie here. It was said that Bernie was starting to spend a lot of money. Miss Marjorie wasn't approving of certain things, or she had to approve of the certain money that he spent. And again, this made Bernie upset. He did not like this. So around November 19th, 1996, it was said that Bernie shot Miss Marjorie 4 times in the back at her home and stuffed her in a freezer outside in her garage. Yes, a freezer, a little small, regular size freezer box. Yes, a deep freezer, something around this size right here. As you can see, Miss Marjorie was more of a petite woman. Tragic, baby, tragic. Now, while Bernhardt then did all this unaliving and catastrophe and all of this low down stuff, he started going on a spending spree. And when I say a spending spree, I said everybody loved Bernie already. He was already big in the community. He was already big just around. He was helping out families. He was helping out the churches. Anyone that needed some help, Bernie Hill. I mean, he was buying the children, the family, all swing sets, all type of stuff. Cars like clothes. Bernie was out there shopping and doing the thing. And to be honest, they didn't even really question where Marjorie was. I told you she was not well liked by the community, so they really didn't even care, which was sad. Now it was said that Miss Marjorie's son had been trying to reach out to her. It had been 9 months, and they had been trying to reach out to her, and they had got no response. And they finally traveled to her home, and that's when him and his daughter found Marjorie's body in the freezer, stuffed, stiff, and unalive. 9 months is crazy, y'all. I mean, like I said, wasn't nobody even questioning nothing in the community until the family. 9 months is crazy. So by August of 1997, Bernie was brought in for questioning around Mrs. Marjorie's death, and he confessed to what he did to her death, that he shot her 4 times, placed her in the freezer, and actually went on a spending spree because she had given him power of attorney. Crazy work. Now, after going to trial later in 1997, a jury convicted Bernie of first-degree murder and sentenced him to 50 years in prison. Now, it was evidence that they say that this was premeditated on Bernie end, and that's why he got the 50 years. Of course, I think it was too. But I digress. Now, Matthew McConaughey is who played the detective Danny Buck. And Buck wasn't letting up on Bernie, okay? It was just hilarious. He did not let up, and he did not want to give up because he was on him, and he knew that he said it was just something about Bernie. It was just something about the way he moved, the way he was, the way he acted. Now, Bernie entered the prison system of Texas in 1999, but by May of 2014, there was some more investigation and digging and appeals being made to where Bernie was able to bail out on a $10,000 bail. Something coming up about childhood abuse and all kind of stuff that was able to concoct to get him up out. Even though Bernie know his ass was wrong, trying to say that he was like in a delusional, out of his mind state when he did that stuff to Marge. Now, Bernie was out between 2014 and 2016 when he did get some resentencing, and the resentencings went back to life in prison, where he did get a 2-year freedom, but the family of Miss Marjorie didn't let. Now, I believe that the family was fighting so hard for Miss Marjorie justice is because of the money, and already that they had been cut out of the will, and that Bernie was having full access to everything, and he had taken. But in the end, they did file a lawsuit against Bernie for $3 million of saying how he embezzled their granny money and took over her estate. In conclusion, Bernie is still serving life in prison, and I feel like he will not be getting out. What they say, duplicity in crime does not pay.